Around the MLB, it is generally known that the Toronto Blue Jays have gotten a lot better over the offseason, but one former player does not seem to think so. He actually thinks they're going to finish last in the AL East, so we'll touch on that on this episode of Jays Digest, as well as Zach Britton. The interested teams have been revealed for the former elite closer, so we'll have that and much more coming up next. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Now, a lot of juicy news coming out of Jays land today, and we're going to get into it real soon. But we want to thank you all for the support that we've been getting. It's been unreal, and we could not thank you guys enough.
Yeah, it's been great. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 7K subscribers, and you guys have been doing great with that. Leave in the comments. We love discussing. Let's just get right into the first topics. We have some interesting stuff today, and it is a former pitcher disrespects the Blue Jays. And that pitcher, like you said in the intro, is Jonathan Papelbon. He's had a pretty interesting career himself. He's gotten into a lot of drama, and he likes to continue the drama. And we have here are the screenshots for you of essentially what he said. So, former Red Sox reliever Jonathan Papelbon went on a podcast recently and ripped apart the Blue Jays offseason, saying that, quote, Chris Bassitt and his 4 ERA is not enough, and that aside from Gausman, the Jays have no good pitchers. And he also went on to say that basically disrespecting Alek Manoah, as someone asked Alek Manoah, thoughts on Papelbon completely bypassing what you bring to the Jays rotation. He said in the podcast after the Gausman, the Jays have nothing. Man, Manoah slept on. Look at what the guy did for 2022. And I'm going to agree that he's obviously slept on by Papelbon. I don't know if, I would say Manoah slept on by the MLB. I feel like he gets his, fair amount of respect for most people. That being said, saying that Gausman is the only good starter on the Blue Jays is, I don't even know where to begin. And he also said that he predicts the Blue Jays to finish 5th or 4th. I believe he says 5th in the AL East, which I don't even know. I'll let you take over here a little bit. And it was shocking. I got added in this a ton on Twitter. People were asking us to react to it, so here we are. But I don't know. I don't take too much into it, but that was some ridiculous takes, especially the Alek Manoah one. Just ridiculous.
Okay, let's just remember one thing here, Nick. All right? Let's remember who Jonathan Papelbon is. This is the guy that tried to choke out Bryce Harper for not running out a routine infield fly ball.
Yeah.
That's just the guy's a head case. He's a head case. He has been his entire career. He's nuts, and he's obviously a Red Sox homer. And that's showing in the tweets that we just saw right there. He's predicting the Red Sox to finish ahead of the Toronto Blue Jays. He's projecting the Orioles, who basically remain the same team throughout the offseason. They're going to have a full season of Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, but that doesn't really matter, like they're not ready to compete yet. So at worst, I think the Jays finished 3rd. And if we're comparing them up to Tampa Bay and New York, I think the Yankees got a little bit better. Their offense stayed the same, and they added an ace level pitcher, so they got a lot better. I'll digress. They got a lot better. Tampa Bay basically stayed the same. Baltimore stayed the same, and Boston got significantly worse. They lost Xander Bogaerts. Okay, they re-signed Devers, but now they're relying on Tristan Cassis to break out, who's a rookie, who I think is going to be real good, but he's just not going to take them to the promised land or take them to the playoffs just yet. Rafael Devers, you know what he's going to do. And Masataka Yoshida, the guy has never played a single inning in the majors, and you're projecting him to be in the middle of your order or batting second, wherever. I just don't understand where he's coming from. And Alek Manoah is super slept on by everybody. I'm going to go on a super rant here. Alek Manoah does not get the credit that he deserves for being as good as he is, as early in his major league career as he is, and he's a workhorse. You know what you're getting out of him. He's not going to blow you away with his stuff, but he's a winner, and he's going to go out there and give you a chance each and every time he steps out on that mound. So I don't want to hear the Papelbon crazy talk. He's all over the place as an individual, and cannot be taken seriously, at least by me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the big thing here, Manoah stuff aside, which was also crazy, and saying that Chris Bassitt is a 4 ERA pitcher, with whether it's not really true, he's always been mid threes, whether that's true or not, he's still a solid pitcher. The 5th seed in the AL East, I don't know if anyone would agree on that. And no disrespect to Boston or the Orioles, the Jays are just a better team right now. Maybe in 3 years the Orioles will catch up, or maybe 2 years, but not right now. And yeah, you covered the rest of it. And let us know what your thoughts are on that. I know we're going to have some interesting comments, but I think everyone tends to agree that the comments he made were maybe they were for clicks, and maybe that's what he got at the end of the day, but very, very weird because, usually former players, respect current players and respect, have a decent knowledge, but I guess not in this case. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll digress. Let us know in the comments. I think we should just
I'm not
move
done.
on.
I'm not done with Pap. I'm not
Okay.
done. I'm not done with Papelbon here. Let's stick with this for at least another minute here, Nick. It's just ridiculous. They finished second last year in the AL East. They were the second best team in the division, and they got so much better. Their bullpen is better, their defense is better, their base running is better, their lineup has more versatility. Like, what are you looking at? Especially as a former major leaguer, you should be able to evaluate teams uh, objectively and not let your bias get in the way. But just ridiculous,
I agree.
ridiculous. Let's move on.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on. No, give him no more light of day. Let us know what your thoughts are on that. We had to react to it. Just some. We don't usually react to stuff like that, but when it's a former player, you have to. Let's move on to some more, pressing stuff. A trade/free agency update, and obviously you mentioned it in the title, but we have some other stuff that came up today as well with Zach Britton. But we'll start with this, which is Brian Reynolds says he still wants to be traded. So I'll get your quick thoughts on this before I move into the reveal the teams for Zach Britton. Brian Reynolds went on, basically interviewed him. Obviously, he's reported to spring training. And he reiterated essentially his trade request, saying that he still does want to be traded. And I'll quickly ask you, we're not going to dive into this too much. Do you think that the Jays are going to make a push? Because I know that's what all the Jays fans are wondering. And if not, do you think the Pirates are going to trade him before the end of spring training?
No, I don't think the Jays are going to make a push. I don't think they need to. It's going to cost you a premium, especially considering what the Pirates are asking for. And that video, yes, Brian Reynolds does want to leave Pittsburgh, but he loves the game and he
Yeah,
wants to be there early at spring training. And they cut off that video before he said, "I'm still open to staying in Pittsburgh, but just for a contract that's right for both sides." Because let's be honest, the 6 years, $75 million extension that they offered him was laughable. It's a bit of a spit in the face to Brian Reynolds. So he wants a deal that's fair to him and that's fair to the Pirates front office, who's been known to penny pinch. But yeah, no, I think he's still open to staying there if the dollars work out. But that let's not be selective on what we're clipping and what we're listening to.
yeah, and that's a big thing at Twitter here. But either way, at the end of the day, I don't think he stays in Pittsburgh simply because of the money situation. Like you said, he's gonna want and he deserves a lot more than what the Pirates' ludicrous offer was in the offseason. But let's move on to the Zach Britton talks now, because the Jays were linked to him earlier in the season. Teams that scouted free agent reliever Zach Britton during his throwing session today, per source: Giants, Angels, Mets, Dodgers, Cubs, Rangers. Meaning the Blue Jays don't seem to be in on Zach Britton, and this is not really a surprise. I think, and this is kind of the consensus now, that the final domino to fall for the Blue Jays in the bullpen front was Zach Green, and they seem to have chosen him over players like Alex Reyes or Zach Britton. And it makes a bit of sense. Obviously, Chad Green is hurt, but now we have him for multiple years of control if we choose to. And he's had a more, well, not than Zach Britton, but than Alex Reyes. He's had a bit more reliability in his career. So do you have any thoughts on the Jays not being interested in Zach Britton? Did you want him? Obviously, you were a fan of him before, I guess, we signed Chad Green. We haven't really gotten your opinion since we've signed him.
Yeah, I think Chad Green's more of a proven commodity at this point. Obviously,
Agreed.
he's coming off Tommy John, and we don't know how exactly he's going to come back. But pitchers tend to be okay after that surgery, especially after the first one. It's not a big deal for Chad Green, and it's going to be like getting someone at the deadline. You're getting him towards the trade deadline, and he's going to be a welcomed addition, and you know what you're going to get out of him. Whereas Zach Britton, he didn't pitch last year, he didn't look good the year before that, so you're not exactly sure what you're getting out of him. I think Britton was more of like a reclamation type project for a team that was willing to take him on, whereas Chad Green is a known commodity, and I'm much more I'm more down for that. I'd say.
I completely agree. And the Chad Green signing was kind of, everyone agrees, not even just Jays fans, all reporters were agreeing it's a phenomenal deal for the Jays. And honestly, like you said, is these days with Tommy John, with the new technology and the new, recovery, I think he'll be fine. Plus, his pitches have elite movement, so I'm happy with that, and I'm happy we chose Chaz Green because we didn't really think about him before, so we were kind of talking about all the other options. But I guess we'll on to the third topic now. We have the Jonathan Papelbon thing kind of took us over a little bit there, but Romano speaks out a little bit more on the World Baseball Classic and what his pitches are looking like so far as of today in spring training. So I'll quickly touch on this first. Watching Jordan Romano throw up close is a thing. The Blue Jays closer told me his fastball hit 95 miles per hour today, and yes, the calendar says February 16th. Quote, "I'm feeling good," Romano said with a grin. And obviously, Peter, you play baseball. Hitting 95 miles per hour, this early in spring training seems like a phenomenal sign for Jordan Romano. Maybe he'll be able to be a 3-digit pitcher hitting 100 miles per hour every outing. That would be the dream. But either way, it's looking like Romano took things very seriously. As I may as well throw it up now. Closer on why he passed up World Baseball Classic again. He basically said, "I'd rather be on my routine here. I felt like if I stayed here, I'd be more prepared for the season, and that's what I wanted to do." So he's completely locked in. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's a lot of competition in the bullpen, and he's the closer on opening day. There's no debate about that. But once everyone is healthy and once everyone is clicking, there's going to be some competition for that ninth inning, And if Jordan Romano doesn't perform up to his standard that he's set in the past couple of years, then he's not necessarily a shoo-in to keep that closer role throughout the entire year. So he's got to be ready. I'd say ramp it up a little bit slowly. Don't try to hit 99 right out of the gate on February 16th. It's not necessary. We know what you could do, big dog, but 95 is not necessary on February 16th. But he's intense. He's always 100 miles an hour each and every time he's out there on that mound. And I mean, I guess that's what you want out of your closer, right?
Yeah, and if there's one player on our pitching staff who I would expect to be doing this, it was Jordan Romano. I wouldn't think of anyone else. And that's a good point about
Yeah.
our bullpen being deeper now. Obviously, I don't think Jordan Romano thinks his job is in jeopardy to the close, and it isn't in jeopardy. But
No,
people
you
like
can't think like that. You
exactly,
can't
but
think
people
like
like Eric Swanson, and now that the bullpen is so much better, maybe it's motivating him a little bit more. And I think he will be our closer for the rest of the season. He's been elite, but having someone up there like Eric Swanson, who's also been elite, is definitely a motivating factor. And let's move on to the final topic now, which is very quick. Schneider raves about Varsho, and he had this to say today. At obviously the spring training camp. He said on the Ben Wagner and Blair and Becker podcast, not Ben Wagner, Ben Wagner said on the Blair and Becker podcast that John Schneider was raving about Dalton Varsho's base running today. He quipped afterwards that, quote, "He's going to be one of the big keys to our season." And obviously this is, not any breaking news or anything. I just wanted to throw it in there that I'm excited to see some more. We haven't seen any Dalton Varsho clips really on spring training yet. I think he's there. I'm not 100% sure. I may have seen one thing about him, but either way, I am super excited for Dalton Varsho, what he's going to bring in. I'm also excited to see our aggressive base running, which we, talk about in another video.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited for what he's going to bring to this team. And I saw a Gabriel Moreno video on Twitter taking some BP with the Diamondbacks, and one of my buddies was saying, "Oh man, look how good Gabby's swing is," And I told him he's going to be a great player. There's no doubt about it. But Dalton Varsho, I'd rather have him over the next 4 years as opposed to another catcher. Jay's dealt from a position of strength. Their team is more well-rounded than it was just 12 months ago, and I'm super, super excited for what the new guys are going to bring in, like Varsho, Bassett,
Kiermaier.
Swanson, Chad Green when he's there, Kevin Kiermaier as well. So all those guys, they're ready to contribute, and they're ready to give it their all to the Blue Jays, and I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. And the Jays ended up making a lot of moves. Obviously, at the start, it was super slow, and we were wondering, we had that live stream talking about how are the Jays going to make any moves, and they ended up making a ton. So it's going to be exciting to see. But that'll wrap up this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. We'll see you guys in tomorrow's video for more content. Lots of spring training stuff is happening now, and the games are starting soon, so we're excited for that. See you guys tomorrow.
Thanks.